Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with fabulous concert programs number, 83. And we're up to number 4 in our Scriabin Symphony cycle. And number 4 is Le Poème d'Extase. Yes, the poem of ecstasy. Now, as I'm sure you'll agree, the poem of ecstasy has to finish the concert. Yeah, I mean, it just has to. I mean, there's no other choice. Nothing ends with such pure volume and finality as the poem of ecstasy. But it's only about 20 minutes long, 22 minutes, something like that. So what you going to do for the rest of the program? It's a real issue. And I think there are a couple of approaches. You can treat the poem of ecstasy as a decadent, late romantic expostulation, or you can do something a little bit different, which is what I think I've done. I mean, maybe kind of, sort of, is to treat it as more of an avant-garde, interesting art object type thing, which also is a late romantic expostulation. I mean, you can't change what it is, but you can put it in a context that I think is going to make it somehow, well, clean it up a little bit. Let's put it that way. You know, people tend to poo-poo the poem of ecstasy, first of all, because of the title. I mean, let's face it, the poem of ecstasy is not exactly modest. And it's not one of those things that people are going to, talk about for its structural rigor or thrilling polyphonic working out or, No. Nothing like that. In fact, the poem of ecstasy is rather neatly put together. It's quite compact, and it's based on a couple of themes that sort of go round and round. It's very neatly structured. It really is. But who cares? I mean, well, you listen to it for the ecstasy, right? That's why we want to hear it. We want to hear all that voluptuous longing, yearning. I mean, harmonically, it's quite interesting, of course. And that's part of the fun. So I have selected three other works that I think go well and make a program. So let's start with the first half of the program. The first half begins with Bartók's tone poem, Kossuth. Well, when was the last time you heard Kossuth? I mean, nobody ever hears Kossuth. It's Bartók's Ein Heldenleben, as they say. It's about a heroic Hungarian critter that, gets defeated or something. I don't know. I don't really care what happens to Kossuth. But the reason I chose Kossuth is because it's about the same length as the poem of ecstasy, about 20 minutes. It makes a great concert opener, actually. And it also uses a similarly huge orchestra. Because the trouble also with the poem of ecstasy is just logistics. You've got 8 horns and zillions of trumpets and, just an organ. You have all this stuff going on. And what else are you going to do on the program that uses similar forces? I don't like programs that are expensive for no reason. So if we do Kossuth, we've got some of the same sort of, wind ensemble forces, extra players. And it's big and huge and glorious. And nobody ever plays it. And it's also, one of Bartók's first major works. And so, you've got a different view of where music was heading. It was heading this way. Scriabin was heading this way. And Bartók was doing this. Isn't that helpful? But seriously, it's a great concert opener, and it fits in terms of having a nice big, juicy chunk of red meat on the program. So after that, we have a concerto, and the concerto is the Shostakovich First Violin Concerto. Oh, what a magnificent work this is. And it is everything that the Scriabin is not. It is lean, it is sardonic, it's noble in places, but not in a strange, weird ecstasy kind of way. The Passacaglia third movement is one of the greatest pieces ever written for the violin in the 20th century. But it begins with a nocturne, with a chromatic, sort of dense, foggy, impressionistic movement, which actually kind of fits well with the poem of ecstasy, even though Shostakovich's style is the very antithesis of Scriabin's. I mean, it is precise, it's lean, and oh, it's just, it makes a wonderful, wonderful work there. It really does, and it's such a great piece anyway, and it brings the house down in the conclusion. Great piece. Intermission. So, after intermission, what are we going to do? Well, something really on the avant-garde side, George Crumb's A Haunted Landscape. This is another work because the Shostakovich had a nocturne, and the Scriabin is nothing if not nocturnal and has those impressionistic harmonies. It's another piece that actually fits well with the poem of Ecstasy. It's only about 15-20 minutes long, just like Kossuth, but it does it in a way which, again, is completely different. It's a totally different aesthetic. And it's mostly very quiet and spooky. And it sets up the poem of Ecstasy incredibly well. Trust me on this one. Play A Haunted Landscape and then play the poem of Ecstasy. You'll see how well they work. And how much the poem of Ecstasy represents a resolution to the entire program, to all of these works, because Kossuth ends quietly, of course, and it's, you know, it's very, you know, sort of storm and stress, but, you know, traditional ending type thing. And the Shostakovich has that nocturne and then ends with a burlesque in high spirits, and then A Haunted Landscape is just a mood piece. And the poem of Ecstasy begins in darkness and mystery, and then ends in a blaze of light, ending the whole concert, I think, making a very fitting conclusion to the program. Give it a shot at home. You'll never see it live, much as we'd like to. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.